John and Jesus were very different from the way those people expected and the way they lived. And they were closed and they were not open to accept them. They made excuses. May the peace and joy of Christ be with you today. William Hazlitt says, prejudice is a child of ignorance. And Benjamin Franklin says, he that is good at making excuses is seldom good for anything else. In today's gospel, which is taken from St. Matthew, chapter 11, from verses from 16 to 19, we see these, both prejudice and excuses. We played flute for you, but you did not dance. We mourned for you, but you did not lament. Now here, flute and dance are appropriate for wedding, and mourning and lamentation are appropriate for funeral. Whether the game is happy or sad, the children refused to play. And these imageries of wedding and funeral are used to show the difference in the lifestyle of John and Jesus. John was forbidding and Jesus was too happy. John lived as a hermit, an ascetic life in desert, harshly disciplined. His fire and brimstone preaching attracted a few, but also hurt many. And he was arrested and later beheaded because he offended Herod's family. And of course, he must have offended many others. And they said, he has a demon. And Jesus came still differently. He came eating and drinking and befriending with sinners and tax collectors and being with them and being one among them, making them feel good and feel confident, and he was teaching them by being with them. He was trying to bring them up and giving them the dignity of a child of God to all, even to the sinners and tax collectors who were considered outcast and marginalized. But they said, he is a gluttonous man. He is a drunkard. He is a friend of sinners and tax collectors. When we find someone being very different from us in his thinking and attitude, outlook and viewpoint of life, or even when someone challenges us, our belief system, our convictions, instead of listening to that person and understanding that person with respect, most often we try to ridicule and belittle that person. Because we know if we have to accept that person, it requires that we need to change ourselves and correct ourselves. And then he or she becomes better than I am. The main reason for those who reject John or Jesus was the awareness that accepting John or Jesus or both of them seriously requires that they change their life. There is an Egyptian proverb that says, every man is rich in excuses to safeguard his prejudice, his instincts, and his opinions. John and Jesus were very different from the way those people expected and the way they lived. And they were closed and they were not open to accept them. They made excuses. My dear friend, how open are you to accept the truth, even if it is very different from what you believe and what you expect. May the love of Christ redeem us. Amen.